So you have the distinction or dubious honor, it depends on how you look at it, of being the actual first interview for Code Camp 8. So, why don't you state who you are first?
Donn, Felker.
All right, and what are you going to be talking about today?
I'll be talking about Android and introduction to it in general, kind of how to get up and running with it, the tools you're going to need, and then we're going to build a demo app, and we'll publish it to the market. So you actually be able to download the app if you have an Android phone.
Oh, you're actually going to try to publish it here,
Yeah.
even after all the network problems we had last time.
Yeah, I have someone, thankfully, who's offered their wireless card for me to use.
Oh, okay, so you do have Plan B in place.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So definitely. It was heavily dependent on the internet because it also connects to Twitter. The demo app does to get
Okay.
Twitter information. It actually pulls in the Twin Cities Code Camp eval site as well.
Okay.
It also creates an email form. So it's all heavily interacting with the internet.
Okay, so why did you pick Android? What's appealing about the Android, the device, the development tools, platform, all that stuff? What do you like about
I
it?
picked it up when I just had some extra free time and decided to try out Eclipse and try out Android. Got into it. It was the low barrier to entry. I didn't have to have a Mac. I didn't have to have any other extra tools. I could download Eclipse. I could install the SDK. I was up and running in about an hour. And I started playing with the apps, pushed a couple test apps out there, a couple ringtone-based apps to see what would happen. And before I know it, there was over a couple 100,000 installs of a couple apps that I had.
Really?
Um,
Wow, that many? Wow.
Yeah, and so
That's pretty cool.
at that point in time, it was kind of cool to just see that kind of stuff happen. And now I'm just working on other side projects, and it's kind of just worked into a side business of mine.
You're pretty big into just mobile devices in general. And now Windows has come out with, Microsoft is doing the Phone 7 thing. So, and I know you've already spent some time looking at the tools and stuff. What do you like and don't like about Phone 7 so far?
I do like how it's based on Silverlight. So if you already have the Silverlight knowledge or WPF type of knowledge, you can just hop in there and start typing some XAML and start paying on an app. That's nice. The emulator support is great. There's a lot of drag and drop support. It's already further advanced than the Android stuff is.
Okay.
The things I don't like about it is it doesn't support multitasking. As you know, the iPhone version 4, it just announced multitasking yesterday.
Yeah.
So Steve Jobs did that, and so there's a couple of things that's kind of falling behind. But again, hopefully they can bring it forward by the time they release the app. The other downfall is that just because it's so new, we don't have a device to test on, and usually when you're developing on an emulator, things are a lot faster because you're using the resources of the computer.
Right.
So if you slap it on an actual device, you're now contending with the phone services, the text messaging services, the GPS services, and when your app was nice and snappy before, it's now really slow because it's contending with all these things before that you didn't have to deal with when you're in the emulator. So, but that'll be solved as soon as the device is released.
Right. And it's also right now all the tools, the emulator is also in a virtual machine as well. So you can't do all this stuff in a VPC unless you boot to it. That's one of the other things that I find is a little annoying.
And you have to actually boot into like a VHD or something like that.
Which isn't that big of a deal, but still, it's just an annoyance at this point.
I think the other thing that's going to be a small deterrent is there is an annual fee, which kind of what Apple charges an annual fee to. I'm not sure.
I can't remember offhand.
It's
Yeah.
$99 for Windows for an annual fee, so every year you have to renew it to be on the marketplace. And then if you want your app certified from Windows to kind of give it the blessing,
Right.
it's going to be $99 per app
Okay.
at this point in time. And we haven't heard anything different yet, so that's kind of a deterrent for kind of a quick release cycle. Like I want to get a new app out there and test it out. I immediately have to have a couple $100 investment just to get my first app out the door. As with something like Android or even iPhone, it's either $100 for iPhone or just $25 for Android.
Okay. One last question, because you did bring up iPhone and the 4.0. That's the one that they announced this week, right?
4.0.
Yeah. You did mention that they're going to support multitasking now, and there's I don't know the other things that came out that were good things. There are some rumors that they are being somewhat restrictive now. Then people that like C# and monotouch, that seems questionable at this point because there's changes supposedly in their agreement that says that you can only use like C, C++, and Objective-C now. They don't want you to use anything else. So I guess am I right in hearing that, or what's your opinions on it?
That you're correct in what you're hearing. Is
Okay.
That's in the terms. It states that you can't write any iPhone-based app or iTouch, etc. with any other language than what Apple specifies. And like you said, C, C++, and Objective-C, I believe, are the languages. They are not allowing Flash compilers, so where you can take a Flash app and compile it down to Objective-C. They're not allowing that. Monotouch is also kind of in that area. However, Novell and also Adobe are both reviewing the contracts with their lawyers to figure out kind of where's the fine line and which side of the line are they on.
And I guess how would an Apple even know? Because like you said, I mean the Monotouch and the Flash compilers, they get it down to a version that you essentially need on the iPhone. So how would they even be able to know? It seems kind of odd.
One of the leads on the Monotouch project, Miguel de Acaza,
Yep.
actually stated that. He said it's pretty, or actually the other lead on the Novell project for Monotouch stated that it's really hard for Apple to even determine if that app was developed with Monotouch because it all comes down to the same, base language in the end. So it's kind of up in the air, and they're trying to figure out where it's going. And none of the companies that kind of do these other things like Monotouch and what's the other one, like Terminator. But there's a couple of these different ones that compile down to Objective-C are all working with their lawyers to figure out what side of the line they can sit on and if they can continue on in development. And they're all saying, don't worry, don't panic yet. We'll have it figured out in the next couple of weeks. So.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks, Don.
Thank you.